I think we might get started, everyone, if everyone would like to take their seats. Thank you. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the land that we meet on tonight is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. So roll call, I think everyone's here. There's no apologies. Are there any motions to grant leave of absence, councillors? No hands up. Excellent. There's no non-attendance. Public open forum. Get cracking straight into that. We have Mr. Dylan Child from the Gawler Baseball Club, who's the new coach of Division 1. Is that right, Dylan? And you'd like to talk about Gawler Baseball. So if you'd like to go over to the microphone and just turn that big circle thing. There you go.
There we go.
Good.
Hi guys, nice to meet you all. I have recently been appointed as the Division 1 coach for Gawler Baseball Club. In times present, they've only had a Division 2 and juniors. So it's a really positive thing for the club, the area in general. Playing professional sports growing up and overseas, hoping to bring to the area, because I came from Elizabeth Gawler. Understand how hard it is to make it through the areas there, and we just want to provide what we can to the kids and with the growing community around. I work in construction out at Riverlea and everywhere around, so we know the importance of keeping sports going for all the communities coming on board and in the future, and just thankful for the council's support on that and the redevelopment of the fields and the importance of that going forward, because when we look at it, and we have had meetings with the baseball league, that in the next couple of years, our club could possibly be the biggest club for baseball in Australia, if not SA, definitely. But with the housing numbers and all the statistics everyone's looked at, that we are the prime position for that to prosper. And we're looking to give all juniors, as the Adelaide team won this year, give all the juniors the opportunity to be in the highest standard of baseball that they can, and bring as many people to the club as we can as possible in the area. So yeah, just appreciative of everything there, and moving forward, we just want to communicate with everyone here and make sure that we are on the right track, on the right path, and growing as much as we're expecting to. With it might be very quick growth for us in the sport, and we're hoping to continue that through. So much appreciated.
Thank you, Dylan. Any questions for Dylan? Councillor Hughes.
Just a question on the timing for when you, with the redevelopment and games on the new area. Have you got any points? Back to council on feedback.
Just turn that on again. Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Well, the season starts in early October. So we're looking to hopefully, depending on the timelines there, be around that mark. We have already put in place with the Baseball League to find alternative ground if that time does overlay. Understanding in construction, there's winter, there's issues, there's design changes. So just going into that, that they give us a home for that part-time until something's in structure for us.
Thank you. Councillor Deputy Mayor, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dylan, for coming tonight. Just expanding there, so your season starts in early October, and how long does it go for? How many times do you train during the week? That sort of stuff. And moving forward, how the membership numbers are going? Like, if you had to guess, this season we're looking at this, but we're hoping for a growth of, I won't hold you to that. I'm just interested.
So just thank you, Dylan.
The season goes to end of March. The seniors will train usually twice a week, and then we play the games on the Saturdays. Most weeks lately in the last couple of years, we've had Tuesday night games, Thursday night games. Obviously you have your home and away. So depending on the structure of the league, depends on the ground availability there. But obviously if we play away for the first parts of the season, we'll have more home games later. Then on the opposite nights, the juniors will train on the Wednesday, Friday nights, where hoping to introduce a T-ball program on Friday nights that will expand through a lot of teams there, like a Auskick sort of structure there, which is a must for me. And then introducing a women's team into next year. Obviously we did have a women's team a while back, but all them players since had gone away due to structure and that, but we're back to get that on track. And then we've put to the league of a 30% growth each year. So we've got the 10 teams, we want an extra 3 the following year. So we've put that in place and we've got about a 5-year plan right now. But we're expecting that with the support of the baseball league, which is a lot heavier than we expected, to that growth to go a lot quicker. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dylan, for coming along tonight. That was really appreciative. And I think the elected members really appreciate you just sharing your vision of the Gawler Baseball Club. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So next we have Julian Mid. We'll go to any other people that wish to speak in public open forum? No. We'll move to deputations and we have Julian Midwinter. Thank you, Julian, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I need to change my glasses. Now, before I start, Mayor, I would like to ask 3 questions through you, if I may.
Yes.
Firstly, if the normal timeframe for the installation of a set of chicanes or road narrowings on a suburban local road is 9 to 12 months, why is council not able to accomplish this on Edith Street in less than 2 to 3 years? Secondly, would the CEO be able to confirm if there has been any application made to DIT to reclassify any Gawler streets or roads? And if yes, can council please identify all of these streets that it has applied to DIT for reclassification? And thirdly, can the CEO or Mayor confirm that council still stands by the statement there is no intention to reclassify Edith Street from local road status, as we were assured was the case at the ordinary council meeting in October last year?
Thank you. Are you able to answer any of those questions tonight? If not, I'll take them on notice, Wendy. You prefer to take them on notice? Okay, so we'll take those 3 questions on notice. You will be notified. They will come back at a subsequent council meeting as questions on notice. And they'll be included as questions on notice and they will have an answer to them in the minutes. Thank you. Now.
All right. Firstly, let me say that the recent community consultation session and work done by Wendy Young and her staff in developing proposals aimed at improving the traffic situation in Edith Short and Blanche Streets is much appreciated and welcomed by the residents, and it is very heartening to see evidence of genuine concern and desire to improve this situation on their part. I was, however, taken aback by the projected time delay to install option 3 for Edith Street, the chicane style lane restrictions of 2 to 3 years. I did ask the question as to of one of the staff members as to why it would take that long, but I was told that that was how long it takes, and that didn't quite answer the question for me. So I did some research and spoke to a senior traffic engineer at a major suburban council and learned that there are no technical, logistical or planning obstacles that, with all things being equal, from where we are currently at here in Gawler, that we should expect work to be completed on a set of chicanes within 9 to 12 months. And that if council were willing to fast track works, it would actually be possible to have the work completed in 2 months. And this has been successfully done in other councils. To take any longer, I was told would be down to council not being willing to build them for reasons such as no funding. So if funding were to be the only reason construction couldn't happen within a few months, late 2026 for a possible completion of this option seemed like a fairly outrageously unrealistic timeframe. I also learned from this extremely reliable source, and I have no doubt to reason to doubt the veracity of the information about Gawler Council's application to DIT to have a number of Gawler streets reclassified due to the increased level of traffic being experienced. If this is true, and it has been done without any announcement or consultation, the reclassification would have the flow-on effect of absolving council of any obligation to resolve the current traffic problems being experienced on local roads in Gawler, in which I am aware there are many besides Edith Short and Blanche Street, because those roads would no longer exist, having become collector roads and as such operating below their official acceptable usage limits, despite of course the fact that they are actually only local roads. The previous solution of doubling the limits of acceptability on Gawler roads when the traffic survey data showed streets at crisis point was bad enough. But now if this is true, we are faced with the very real likelihood that those limits will be exceeded, and it appears now that the application currently before DIT would in fact triple that doubled volume of vehicles running past our homes in the pursuit of saving 15 seconds off their journey time. The collective resident group of Edith Short and Branch Streets, who are now in their third decade of fighting for something to be done about the traffic problems, fear that the claim of a 3-year lead time for restriction installation is nothing more than a delaying tactic while management waits for DIT to tie its hands. By reclassifying all the problem roads, DIT would be preventing council from installing any restrictions to rat runners, thus allowing the current situation to become permanent. That being said, the overwhelming support for the feedback that I have received as the coordinator of the residents group is for option 3, with the inclusion, though, of raised platforms to slow all traffic, as there would be no slowing effect from the narrowing unless there were 2 cars attempting to enter from opposite directions. There is also concern from the residents of all 3 streets that there are no options that include restrictions on Blanche Street South, which would then cop all of the cars that wanted to avoid the south end of Edith Street once the treatments had been installed, if they are installed. We would feel it is absolutely necessary to include a significant set of restrictions here as well, if these measures are to be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Any questions for Julian? Thank you. That concludes deputations. Are there any declarations of interest? I'll start around the table. Councillor Koch, what's your declaration of interest?
Point 1, Gawler Business Development Annual Business Plan, and I'll declare, I'll explain that and we'll get to it.
Okay, is it about Gawler Makers Market?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes.
so Councillor Koch. I need to get another pen. My pen doesn't work. Find one. I've got one, thank you. So 10.1, Councillor White.
Thanks, Mayor. Items 10.1 and 16.5.
Business Development Room, okay, 16.5. Is that going to impact on your Councillor Koch, 16.5? No, okay, thank you. And Councillor Solomon, I think I saw your hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, 10.1 School of Business Development Group report, and 19.1, which is the Abethan item.
Oh, right, okay. We'll get to that. 19.1. Thank you very much. Any other declarations of interest? Anybody? No? Oh.
Yes, sorry, I just had another one pointed out to me, which would be 16.5 as well.
16.5?
Potentially, so I'll fill out another form.
That's fine. I've written that down. Thank you. So we have so we have councillor Kosh 10.1, we have councillor White 10.1 and 16.5, and we have councillor Solomon 10.1, 16.5 and 19.1. Is that correct? Is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. Right. Any other declarations of interest by anybody? No? Can't see anybody's hand up, so that's good. And when we come to those items, we will, I'll ask you to declare your conflict and explain what the conflict is, how you're going to deal with the matter, etc. Okay, thank you. Agenda items, there are none. There are no petitions. Now we move on to confirmation of minutes, and there are 3, and we'll do them one at a time. We have the ordinary council meeting on the 26th of April. Are you happy to move that way, Councillor Hughes? Thank you. Do you wish to speak at all? Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ballalonga. Just wait for the minute taker to catch up. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Now we'll move on to special council meeting the 3rd of May. Are you happy to move that way, Councillor Hennessy? Do you wish to speak at all? Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hughes, thank you very much. I'll just allow the minute taker to catch up. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, carried unanimously. And special council meeting on the 16th of May, 2023. You happy to move that way, Councillor Davies? Do you wish to speak at all? No. You happy to second Councillor Hennessy? I'll just allow. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Thank you. Now, business arising. So we now move to page 5, and there's a couple of conflicts of interest. So I'll go through those as I called the card, which is Councillor Kosh first. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The Gawler Makers Market has received seed funding from the Gawler Business Development Group. I am on the Gawler Maker Market Committee. I will leave this meeting for this item.
So you're dealing with the matter by leaving the
meeting.
room?
Yes.
And what is the conflict?
Oh, sorry, it's a general conflict.
General conflict? Okay, thank you. Okay, because and dealt with the conflict in a transparent and accountable way in the best interests. No, he didn't remain in the meeting and he didn't participate in the debate. He left the room. He declared a general conflict. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I think Councillor White will go to you next. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, I've got a material conflict of interest here because I provide paid services to the Gawler Business Development Group, so I'll be leaving the meeting.
So you need to declare what kind of conflict you have?
Material.
Material,
Yes.
Deal with the matter by leaving the room?
Leaving the
Okay,
room,
thank you
yes.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Solomon, we'll go to you now.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so I've got a general conflict of interest, and that's because I'm on the board of the Gawler Business Development Group by virtue of appointment by council.
Mm.
And I'll deal with that by remaining in the chamber and voting in the best interest of the community.
So we'll just document that so it's accurate. And participated in the debate. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that deals with any other conflicts, just while I'm at it? No, thank you. Right, so Gawler Business Development Group, I'd like to welcome our Chair, Louise Drummond, and Executive Officer, Karen Braun. Now, Louise does want to say a few words, so I'll turn that microphone on, Louise. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. As we do, we provide you with our business plan for the coming year and our quarterly report, and I'm going to let Karen speak to that because she's the one that actually has to do all the really hard work on all of those things, implementing what the board decides. One of the things that we are charged to do as the board is to bring new business to Gawler and to support growing businesses in Gawler. And you do have on the agenda tonight the installation of a commercial kitchen in the Civic Centre. And that is something that's of particular interest to us, as we believe that it is an opportunity to grow businesses, to attract businesses, and to actually extend the Business Innovation Hub by attracting food-based businesses to Gawler. I have read with interest your report put together by staff, and there are some things there that I do take issue with, as my investigations with caterers and chefs give some different remarks about things, such as you don't need to upgrade the 4-burner stove. It's such a small space that the 4-burner stove is quite adequate. And with the addition of a couple of portable halogen cooktops, if they needed any more than that, they can be used both out on the counter as part of presentations and training sessions, and if there's additional work needed in the kitchen itself. A brat pan is not required unless you actually plan to make a soup kitchen, but that's an expense not required. The exhaust system, as you have found out, is quite adequate, and I'm advised that rather than a combi oven, a turbo oven would be appropriate. And when we had the workshop, David Barrett did say that you already had a commercial microwave somewhere that wasn't being used. So no, oh, right. So maybe then that does have to be done. And just the way the report is presented, it seems as if the various suggestions are mutually exclusive, when in actual fact they're not. I would suggest that the reason that nobody else has asked to use the space is because the Olive Branch Cafe is there, and who would imagine that they'd ask to use the space? But there's great opportunity to extend the educational aspects of the library, to extend the educational aspects of the youth shack, to bring more people into the Civic Centre. And given the investment in this centre, I think our ratepayers, and of course we represent the commercial ratepayers of Gawler, as well as some of the home-based businesses, they would like to see far greater access and use of the Civic Centre to make the investment of $15 million really relevant to the community.
Thank you. Thank you, Louise. Karen?
Thank you. And firstly, to the quarterly report, everything that is written in there obviously is now almost 2 months out of date because we're at the end of May. However, most things that are written in there, I've been tracking very similarly for the last 2 months. So no major changes there. A couple of new movements within the street, but they'll be reflected in our next report. So, and some more new movements coming up very shortly. Excuse me. The business plan for 2023-24, as you would see by that, we have requested an increase of 4% on the levy fee, not the 7.9, I think it is, David. Yes, 7.9%. That is the actual CPI rate. But we feel that 4% will meet the needs that we have for the projects we wish to undertake in the next 12 months. There is one change to the projects. We have listed that we will be doing the conference, the SA Business Conference annually, as we usually do. However, the board has decided that due to increased costs with putting the conference together, it's a real struggle to fit it into the budget that we have. So the board has decided that that now will happen every 2 years, with 50% of the costs for the conference carried over each year, so that it won't be such a belt to the budget in that 1 year. So there won't be one next year, but there will be one the year after. Those, the leftover of those monies within the budget that would have gone to the conference will go on other projects. You'll notice also in the 2023-24 planned initiatives that the Go Local First is listed in there. We've actually already commenced that, and in fact we have already purchased just under $5,000 worth of marketing resources so that we can have a launch at the conference this Friday. So we'll be launching Go Local First #ShopGawler. And we will be putting up call flutes around the bins down the main street as soon as they're finished. They're not quite finished yet. We have had 20,000 DL double-sided flyers done for the rates insert for the next quarter. So that'll go out to the residents so that they can see the reasons that they should be supporting local businesses, and the benefits obviously to both the businesses, the employees, and to the community. So that has already occurred, which now means that we can actually use more funds for 2023-24 to continue with the expansion of that. So we're in discussions with a television celebrity, I suppose, at the moment about doing something on TV again in that year. So there's certainly lots and lots of large projects coming up. The ShopGawler project is still a work in progress. There's still a fair few things that the board need to figure out on the intricacies on how that will actually work, but it certainly has had a $10,000 budget allocated to it for next year. So we're hoping to be able to get that off the ground. There's been a lot of buzz about the Smart Mystery Shopper project already, with people wanting to know when they're going to be mystery shopped. Well, that would be silly if we told them that. So that's occurring at some point. Other than that, we're looking forward to working with the town of Gawler with the Smart Room, the Gawler Smart Room. So it's great to be able to see that actually hopefully going to occur next year. As you would know, we did put in a tender for the same thing to occur, to build a smart room 2 years ago now, I suppose, but the government squashed that round of funding, so it wasn't approved. So we're really keen to see it happen and be helpful with doing education, business education, so that people know exactly what to do when they're in that room. So lots and lots that has been planned, and we've already commenced. And other than that, I'd just like to say thank you. And if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Karen? Councillor Hughes?
Yeah, thank you very much for the really comprehensive report. Really noticed that in February and March, you were really busy with advice, and it was right across the board and wasn't then consistent. Again, like from February to March, it was different. It was just incredible statistics that you've got there. You've done really well collecting that. Is there any sort of advice that you want to feed back from all that I mean, it was in all sorts of areas. Yeah, well done on collecting it. But yeah, anything you want to feed back from all those advice? It was over 200. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. It was actually quite unusually busy for that time of the year. Normally it quietens right down, and January, February is almost dead. You know, nothing much happens at all. But we did actually also change the reporting system that we were using, whereas up until probably December, October, November-ish, we were still collating the data under one category, one format, whereas we then had it changed to two. So there was one set of data for development, one set of data for advisory services. And that allowed us to be able to more accurately place where the activities were happening. So it's probably not as large an increase as you would normally see. It's just the way that it's been collected. But we have also now just added a third category. David, you didn't know that, but we've just added another category just called other, because quite often we'll get someone call. For example, last week I had someone call and needed some information on using a recreational space within Gawler. That doesn't come under development or advice really, whereas prior to having those separate categories, we would have had to have ticked it as advice. So now it's much more clear on what we're actually doing and where.
Thank you. Any, yes, Councillor Davies.
So it's after a few decades of the same ownership, it seems that the building up the end of Murray Street where B Music used to be is being sold, and I saw it being renovating the floors or something. Do you have any insight on what's happening there or what might be going in there?
Which building, sorry?
This is the one next to Tony Piccolo's office, and that where the B Music and I think the photography studio were.
The photography studio is still there. That actually is a separate building. The owner of the building that was B Music is actually trying to sell it. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So, but I can tell you that B Music, Shane is very happy with where he is. New location.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies. Very, very insightful comments. Thank you so much. Okay. So now we have 10.1, Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation and
Do you wish to speak?
Yeah, just quickly to thank the presentations as well. And I think it's, Joe, a really important relationship that council has with the business development group, and just building and working well together is really important. So yeah, thank you very much for coming tonight, and yeah, hopefully we can continue working in this space, especially the dialogue between the groups. Definitely.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sample, you wish to second? Do you wish to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Karen. It's very a comprehensive report, and certainly it's working very well. It's really quite interesting when you get out there and talk to the various businesses, and also to the amount of money that's changing hands with the sales of businesses in the town. I'm talking about the cinema. I'm talking about the area of shops next to the cinema, and a couple other businesses in the street, as Karen just said there a minute ago, the sort of money that is changing hands and how they are, and hopefully we get a new breed of people coming into the street that's going to make the street vibrant. But I'm not sure how much publicity being made on the sale, but I think it's just blown me right out the water. I never ever thought that I would hear that the sort of money that's changed hands on businesses in this town. So it's a place where people want to come. So thank you to the Business Development Board for supporting everything that's going on.
Any other discussion? We have a mover and a seconder, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, as always,
like to thank the Gawler Business Development Group. I find the reports really easy to follow, and they provide that conduit to the business community that I think our company needs. Also picking up, as Karen pointed out, it's a 2-month-old report at this point in time, but yeah, Benny's Asian Grocer is back in business. Dumplings are ready to go. So a quick shout out there for Benny. And yeah, just touching base and running through, I'm sad to hear that the conference is going to bi-yearly now. I haven't been able to book in this Friday, unfortunately, with another work commitment, but yeah, so I've missed the fact that I won't be able to go next year either. So but look, I understand why these tough decisions need to be made, and yeah, trust the board that is making these decisions. So I look forward to seeing the next one and seeing what more investments are available and opportunities come into the town.
Any other discussion? If not, councillor Hughes, are you happy for me to put that motion? Thank you. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, David. If you could ask councillor Caution and councillor White to come back in. Okay, so now I'm on page 11 and I have the officer's recommendation. How do you wish to, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to opt in commercial kitchen for option in point 2.
Yep.
And if I'd like to speak to that too, if I could.
So you just allow the minute taker to, so commercial kitchen option.
Yep.
Commercial kitchen option with either second-hand or new. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. No.
Okay,
I'd like
thank
to leave it
you.
open.
You've got the floor, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I understand staffs want to be able to be provided a little bit of direction here, and completely agree with asking the question. I think it's a good move forward to look at the commercial kitchen, because if you look at all the options there, they pretty much all say that our kitchen needs a little bit of love here. So I see the commercial kitchen option as a potential baseline. And I also see the potential of mixed use in the future as well. Who's to say that we can't have an operator similar or the same as Olive Branch, for example, there during business hours, but offer up the kitchen for leasing for, caterers after hours. Who knows? But I think the option, what we were able to do with this particular direction is get the bare minimum to give that commercial kitchen status and then build from there. And I don't see it as I think there's some options before we leap right into the gold package that's been put forward in our report. But again, I understand appetite for trying to figure out where our collective minds sit. So I'm testing the room tonight on the commercial kitchen idea, because I think that'll be a good foundation setter moving forward.
Are you happy to second, councillor Hennessy?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm going to support this. But I hear very much what Louise said. I actually don't think that they are mutually exclusive. So we've been asked to choose between one of 5. I think we should progress and get staff to come back to us with a more detailed report on commercial kitchen, but certainly flexible community use, social enterprise model, and even the use by a private operator. I think in the end, we may be able to make that a nice fit. I just don't think that they're one or the other. And again, we've had some experience with the Olive Branch doing some of that material. I have spoken to a number of the caterers in town, and certainly they're indicating that having a commercial kitchen fit out here is going to enhance their support of functions in this building. So in terms of ensuring that we continue to be a premium space for hire, particularly when for things like weddings and large birthday parties. I think we need to start to move into this space. As was explained in the workshop, it was something that had to be cut out in the initial budget, but I think it's time to revisit it. So I look forward to the report. Thank you.
Councillor Koch, you had your hand up.
Yeah, look, I've got a couple of questions through in there.
Yes.
What's just looking at the existing commercial kitchens, there seems to be a fair bit of spare capacity there. What's the actual demand in the town? So has anybody actually gone out and canvassed the caterers in town and had a look at the colour of their money to say that they'll actually use the facility? I mean, I've set up social enterprises. What I tend to do is go and look at the demand, cut it in half, and if it's still viable, then I think about it. So that's my first question. The other question is, a lot of the social enterprise activities I think are actually run by other organisations already. For example, Community House, they would run some of those already. So are we actually sort of getting into an area that they're already catering? So I just, that's my two questions. If somebody could answer those, that would be nice.
David?
So through the chair, we haven't gone to the market analysis step yet. As council staff, we wanted a clearer direction from councillors. Councillor Shanks has indicated to enable us to do that, because it would be, in our opinion, backwards if we went to see the market demand, then came back to council, said there's a bit of market demand here and there's all the costs, but then we're not delivering it. So a bit of chicken and egg, there could be two ways around that. So that'll be part of the next phase of the investigation. In terms of social enterprise, yes, there are other centres that offer those sorts of services, definitely, but we do know there is appetite and demand for social enterprise through our centre, and that's evidenced by our youth training programs that run in school holidays around baristas and responsible service of alcohol and those sorts of things, which could benefit from being in an active environment such as a cafe.
I think that addresses. Are you comfortable with those answers, Councillor Koch? Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, do you wish to speak? No problem.
Yes. Look, I'll be voting against this. I've never really liked the idea. I think it's an expensive layout of money when we're considering. We had a special council meeting not so long ago, and people were talking about how people can't, afford their rates, et cetera, and we cut a lot of things out of the budget, and then now we're turning around and saying we want to put all this other stuff in. I don't think there's demand there. I think somebody should have gone out and actually spoken to people, or there should have been a whole lot of caterers saying, we want this, we want this now and we will pay for it. But there seems to be a lot of spare capacity in this town anyway. So I don't know where this is going. I think it's a nice idea, but I don't, if caterers were that keen, they'd actually be using the existing facilities. That's my view. Thank you. So I'll be voting against it.
Councillor White?
Thanks, Mayor. Just a question. The second part of this motion in the report, will the report include community consultation, potentially with local caterers?
I think that's what David said before, that they will go out and talk to local caterers that probably use the centre and know the centre really well. I can think of quite a number, and I think that will be quite useful because of the experience of those caterers and just, what the capacity of this commercial kitchen or the report. So I think that will, I think that will detail, experience from caterers. Yeah. And David's nodding his head. So there you go. Any other discussion? If not, Deputy Mayor, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, just quickly. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind members, this one isn't committing any spending to anything at this point in time. It's trying to scope up the potential of a commercial kitchen. Another point that was raised, has anyone gone out and talked to caterers and chefs? Yes, I believe Louise Drummond, the chair of the Gawler Business Development Group, has spent a lot of time talking to other commercial kitchen operators in other local council areas, and the appetite of trying to make it work here is seeming quite positive. However, agree or not, doesn't really matter at this point in time of this particular process. It matters that we are providing a direction to staff on what our appetite is. And I think a commercial kitchen is the foundation of a good model moving forward. I don't think it's a commercial kitchen and nothing else, in my honest opinion. However, the theme throughout the report is we need to update the kitchen to get it to a certain level. I don't think we need to go to the level that some of the options are talking about, but that's what we need to tease out with people that work in the space, work in the area and in the industry of hospitality, and really lean on their knowledge. If we don't need a 6 burner straight away, we don't get a 6 burner straight away. The perfect example is we don't have an appropriate exhaust system. Oh, hang on, we've got an expert in. Yes, we do. We just need to clean the filters. This report is going to unpack this, and it's going to figure out what our options are moving forward. Because if you want to keep on repeating history, we'll keep on running around in circles.
The debate is closed. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against, it is carried. Thank you. It is carried. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we move on to, I'm on page 20 of the agenda, and thank you, ladies. Have a good night. I'm on page 20, the third budget review as at 31st of March 2023. I'll take the attachments as read and this report as read. Councillor Hughes, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation, and yeah, thanks staff for the comprehensive report.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vallelonga. So we'll just allow the minute taker to catch up. Thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder. Any discussion on this matter? Councillor Sample, yes?
Thanks, Mayor Karen. Yes, it's very, very comprehensive and that sort of thing. If you could read it, I'm just not exactly sure why we can't fill the whole page, because old people like me, that's pretty hard to read.
It is.
Anybody
Very
had a look at this? All right about you, Ethan, you're got good eyes.
You've got much
But
better
I
eyes.
just wonder, because Sharon and her team are doing a fantastic job, and you know, we're all hearing about budgets at the moment, and if you're listening to the ABC and heard our minister this morning speaking about out about councils, we need to have our finger right on the pulse, and I'd just like to see it in bold letters so we can understand it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? If not, Councillor Hughes, are you happy for me to put the motion? I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. So I'm now on page 29 of the agenda, and increasing borrowing facilities. Are you happy to move that way, Councillor Hughes?
Yes, happy to. Well, not happy, but it's part of the process of financing the council and
Yes.
Keeping us solvent. So yes, I'll move the officer's recommendation.
And I've got a seconder in Councillor Vallelonga. Thank you, Councillor Vallelonga. Thank you. Any discussion on this matter? If there's no discussion, David, are you happy for me to put that motion? I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now I'm 10.5. Selection of independent community representatives. Councillor Hennessy, do you wish to move the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I am the council rep on this committee and have actually been a community member before. I am delighted that I was not part of the tender expression of interest process, but I am delighted with the quality of appointees that we have been provided. It just shows for me that we have the ability to attract some really good experience and skills from our community. I see it as a real vote of support for what council and the staff are doing in this area. Thank you.
Councillor, who had their hand up? Did you have your hand up? You wanted to second? You're happy to second? So we've got a seconder in councillor Kosh. Just allow the minute taker to catch up. Thank you. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, councillor Hennessy, are you happy for me to put the motion? I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now I am on page 36, 10.6, the Garrock Annual Business Plan Consultation. You happy to move that way, councillor Kosh? And I saw councillor Hughes's, yes? Yes. Yes? Just turn your mic on.
Look, yeah, I'm happy to support this. Very interesting reading. I just wanted to say a couple of things. When it comes to the circular economy, what you really need to do is to design out waste. And if you actually look at what the EU is doing, that's what they're actually doing. They're actually designing out waste. So what can happen is if you've just got recycling, it's business as normal, and businesses just keep on making plastics and whatever, and they build in redundancies into their items. So what you really need to do is design products that have a longer life so it doesn't go to waste. So that's the first one. I think with the EVs, I think the issue really is around supporting charging facilities, because if you can have good charging facilities, people can then have smaller batteries, which then means the cars are cheaper and people can get into them, which is very important. In there, we also talk about biodiversity. And again, we only talk about trees. Sorry, we talk about greening, but we only talk about trees, but we should be actually talking about biodiversity. And the last one I want to just quickly talk about is waste, the way we manage waste. There's a revolution coming in the waste area. And I just want to quickly talk about an article that was in the on the ABC, which talked about plastic eating fungi. And people think, well, what's that? What it is, what it does is actually shortening. They found fungi that can shorten the time where they degrade plastics. And what they're saying is that within 5 years or so, they'll have a working model where you'd be able to just use these fungi to degrade, to get your red bin and just digest the majority of the plastics. So that's going to be a fundamental shift in the way that we manage our waste in Australia and in the world. So I think people need to really look at the different ways that we're actually going to be managing waste, because I think the way we're managing now won't be the same, because when you start to recycle things, it takes a lot of energy to collect, sort, and then reprocess, and it creates a lot of carbon dioxide. These other processes will actually take a lot of that out. So I think people just need to be really aware of that that's coming down fairly quickly. So if that's about all I wanted to say about the Garrett report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hughes, you wanted to second?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I actually found the report interesting, and just the way the feedback from the other councils came back as well. Sort of gives you a bit of a snapshot, I suppose, of thinking across the sector. Yeah, I think it does highlight to me that that it is a service organisation for councils to get basically services back from the state and federal government. Sort of came out as number one, and how those things sort of work as number two, the highest priorities. And I think sometimes people forget that they expect the local government association to do all these wonderful things, but it is quite difficult. And I think their core business is to advocate on our behalf, and I think with electricity contracts and other things that's been successful. But certainly would like to see, I've raised a number of times, especially legal services to councils, and trying to streamline some of that advice, because it's the same advice that all the councils are paying for separately each time, and just some ways of streamlining some of those major costs to council. I think that's really important to keep happening. But yeah, it is a major role, and yeah, I think that the report actually gives a good snapshot of all all the different parts of it as well, which is important too, and how the other councillors also think about those services, which is important.
Any other discussion? Councillor Hennessy.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, an excellent report. Always learning things as we read through, and it's good to see that we're able to contribute as a council into this consultation. I noticed that, for example, we have got two matters around the planning code that we're going to share our learnings with the minister's request to us for increased engagement with the Vidoulis situation. Code amendment, and then also that we have been asked for additional consultation on the new heritage standard for Church Hill, which I look forward to hearing some more information about. I think that's quite interesting, and as I say, it's good to see that we can provide a lead and share that information back with other councils. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, Councillor Kosh, are you happy for me to put that motion? I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now I'm on page 41, 10.7, Council Member Behavioural Management Policy. Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Are you happy to move the officer's recommendation? Is that what you wish to do?
Yes, Mayor. Yeah, move the officer's recommendation, and yeah, it's fairly comprehensive. So
yeah. Thank you. Councillor Hennessy, you wish to second? Okay, yep. Do you wish to speak? No. So we have a mover and a seconder. Any discussion? Councillor Kosh?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to go to the amendment, page 94 of 233.
Let us open it up. 94. I've got 94 inappropriate communication.
Yes,
protection.
yes, there's that, and also the other bit I want to talk about was part 8 defamation. I just want to get some advice from somebody how council, if we adopt this, how council will implement the requirements under that section.
Well, that's right. Because if council publishes something that's defamatory, council, you put council at risk.
Yes.
Yeah. That's you know, but it has to be determined to be defamatory.
And it's just that it talks about if somebody sends an email to councillors, and we'll get it, we've therefore published it. So how do we manage that? Because we could be in breach of legislation acts if we don't do something.
Yeah, so it really shouldn't be if something is defamatory or deemed to be defamatory, and that can be quite complex. CEO, do you want to make any comment, please?
Yes, through the chair, in situations where I've been the recipient of such communications, then and such emails are copied to all and sundry, and a response is warranted. I've implemented the practice where I cut that chain and I create a new email in response, referencing the inappropriate communications and, if appropriate, responding to the questions or matters that I need to. But it is an issue when we do reproduce and forward on emails that contains derogatory and inappropriate commentary.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. Any other discussion? You wish to speak?
Just also they have a bit about defamation about councillors liking posts, etc., etc. Just people aware of that.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, thank you very much. Any other discussion, Councillor Hennessy?
Yes, Mayor, through you, perhaps given what the CEO said, and once we have passed this policy, that perhaps there should be some further training or further explanation, so we have a common understanding in writing between all elected members. That might be helpful. Do you think?
I think that would be very helpful, because when you forward something that could be defamatory, you are publishing it. So I think that needs to be clarified, exactly as you said, councillor Hennessy. Deputy Mayor?
Given the discussion, Mayor, can I make a suggestion to add a 0.5 to the mover and seconder?
You need to write that down and show it, what's in your head.
Just that request staff for a training session on the policy.
Yeah. Mover and seconder? Are you happy with that? You happy with that? So the mover and seconder are happy. If you just we need some words. So can we just move it up a little bit, so make a 0.5 so I can see it, because I can't see it at the moment. That request staff to provide council members with training on the above policy. How about that?
Yep.
Is that okay? Yep. Yep. Mover and seconder, are you happy with the wording? Yes, fantastic. So that's accepted, Deputy Mayor. Do you wish to speak? No? Okay, good. Now, any other discussion? If not, councillor Hughes, do you want to wrap up the debate? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very comprehensive document. It's unfortunate we need to have them, but it is important. And as most of us councillors have been to training so far this year that have covered off on a lot of the behaviours. And I think as a group, we actually work really well together. So, but it's just there as a backup. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, that wraps up the debate. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now we move on to, I'm on page 44 now. So I'm just going to highlight something in the new code of practice I'm on page 125 of 233. I'm going to read it out. 14.1, which is questions, page 125 of 233. There's just one word missing. Members may ask questions on reports or throughout a meeting, although are encouraged to ask questions of an operational nature. I think that is meant to say are not encouraged. So there should be NOT, because it then goes on to say that could be resolved by the CEO or relevant staff members during business hours in order to prevent the meeting duration being extended. So I think that doesn't make quite sense. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think it's meant to say not. Yeah, I think so. That was the only thing I picked up. I think it was just a minor typo. Yes, sorry, Deputy Mayor, do you wish to? Yes, sorry.
No, that's okay. Thanks for picking that up. I was actually wondering if I could move a version of this, Mayor. I actually want to defer this to an information session to unpack the policy changes a bit more, to be honest. So I just was wondering if I could get some assistance in how I could go about that.
Well, you can move a alternative motion that you defer it to a workshop or a training session. So that might be the more pertinent wording. You haven't moved, nobody's moved anything yet. So there are quite a lot of changes in this, and there's quite a lot of
there's some ramifications of just sort of making this live.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we all need to be very, very clear on.
Yeah, so I would suggest that you, if I may, that you council defers this matter to a future training session full stop at a point 2, that the policy is analysed during that training session so that elected council members have a greater understanding or a greater understanding of the policy, or I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here, so you might want to help me, Nathan.
No,
but
no, that's
defers the adoption of the proposed code of practice to a future training session for council members.
yes.
You might want, if we put a timeline on that, I think before the end of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Through you, Mayor, the adoption of a code of practice following an election has to be within 12 months of the elections.
That's right. So
Yeah.
before the end of the year, so November 22nd was when we came into being. So it needs to be before November. So if you put before November, that fixes that. First, the adoption of the proposed code of practice for council and committee meeting procedures. So we'll get it right. So full stop, point 2, I think point 2, a training session is scheduled before November 2023 is scheduled. Is scheduled before, well, by October, I think rather than before October, by October 2023, a training session for elected members or for council members, thank you, is scheduled. We could do it in October, it could be for October. That may, then that. Yep, sure.
Given the importance of progressing with the policy and the procedures, I'd be seeking that we'd be having a workshop within the next couple of months. Because there might be then further changes that we might be workshopping and then reporting back to council. So I'm just flagging it'll be sooner than that.
Okay, so in the next 2 months then, in the next 2 months. Yeah. In the next 2 months, a training session is scheduled in the next 2 on this policy, on this policy. Are you happy with that wording? And so it will eventually, we'll have the training session and then we can, and then it'll come back. I don't know if we need to say that it will come back, it'll have to come back anyway because it has to come back before November. Okay, so you happy? Yep.
Yeah, I'd only just add holds, but before that council holds a training session.
A training session.
Oh, no, sorry.
Scheduled.
No, your schedule's fine. Sorry, that's just me being fussy. I'd like to speak to it now if I could, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, and apologies for not wordsmithing something a bit sooner. I was in 2 minds on how to address this. But I think there has been some really good changes in the policy. I like the fact that we've picked up the deputations 7 days prior and then that not aligning with an agenda coming out. I think that's an important move. Questions on notice, questions without notice, streamlining, I'm liking that as well. Some of the deputation comments I'm a little bit wary of. And some of the public open forum stuff, we're starting to see community members use these processes. I'm 5 years in now, and these processes are starting to get used. And I think all in all, well, yes, we do have a couple that you sort of just grit your teeth and bear it, but A couple of bad apples don't ruin it for the bunch, in my opinion. However, this is a conversation that I think we should tease out in a workshop environment. In the summary of the report on page 44 of 87, it turns around and it says, with parameters on the code, along with feedback from the mayor, councillors and executive team. I don't remember providing feedback about public open forum or deputations or a lot of the policies that have been altered here.
Yeah.
And I'm more than willing to provide it. But I don't want to do it on the fly, running through, trying to say, hey, I don't like this bit, I don't like that bit. So I think this is a better, cleaner process.
Yeah.
And I think we can
I
get a better
agree.
policy out of it.
I completely agree. I think it does need to be analysed, and I applaud your motion. Yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay, any other, you got hands up? So are you happy to move that, Councillor Deputy Mayor? So I'll ask the minute taken to moved by Deputy Mayor Shanks. Do I have a seconder? I think I saw you, Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, happy to second this motion, and thank you, Susie, for the comprehensive report on it. I think I share the same sort of sentiment. I think as much the rest of the chamber, there's some things in there which probably would be perceived in the wrong way, could be perceived, given recent events and given the fact that they would probably impact members of the community who've recently spoken here. And so I don't want for us to unintentionally put something out into the public sphere which paints us in a light as trying to stop those people from coming and doing what they have done, I think, in a really respectful and beneficial way in the process. So I fully support this motion and look forward to getting down into the nitty-gritty of it as a person who loves the law, when we getting down to the nitty-gritty of the policy and really fleshing out what that means for things in the chamber.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I think it's pretty much nailed the sentiment. Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the alternative motion. I too agree with what's been said, particularly for me, while I liked the table of proposed amendments, and thank you, Susie, for providing that. That was excellent. I had questions as well, for example, about the role of the presiding officer in each of the council or committee meetings, and there seems to be a substantial change in some of that I need to talk through. Thank you. So happy with the new motion.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, Deputy Mayor, are you happy for me to put the motion? I'm going to put that motion. Everyone knows what they're voting on? Thank you. It's up on the screen. It's quite a different motion than what we had in our papers. So do you wish the CEO to read it out? You all comfortable and happy? Okay. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay. So 10.9. Now this is raising an item. I went back and listened to the audio. So the motion was originally moved by Councillor Hughes and seconded by Councillor Vallelonga. Councillor Davies spoke. Councillor Hennessy asked 2 questions and Deputy Mayor then asked a question, and then we laid it on the table. And that was where it stopped. It was moved by Deputy Mayor Shanks and seconded by Councillor Vallelonga, who didn't actually speak in the debate. So from that point on, we will raise, if council is of a mind to raise it from the table, we will take, because we have who spoke, Councillor Davies spoke, but no one else really spoke. Councillor Hughes, I think you might have made a few words. I don't know if you spoke at all. And you got your notes there? Yeah. And what did you write down? Okay. Thank you. So well, if we need a mover and a seconder that hasn't spoken in the debate. Is that right, Susie?
Through you, Mayor, and to respond, this is a completely separate motion to raise it from the table.
Okay, thank you. So I can have anyone move it and seconded. Are you happy to move that way, councillor Davies? Do I have a seconded, councillor Valalonga, that we raise this item from the table? All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against, it is carried. Thank you. It is carried. Thank you. Okay, so it is now raised from the table. Do you wish to have a debate? It is now raised and we will start from, so Deputy Mayor Shanks, you asked a question, you didn't speak, you only asked a question. And then we had a formal motion. And Councillor Hennessy, you asked 2 questions. Councillor Davies, you spoke. And no one else spoke. No one else spoke. So do you wish to? Yes?
The way that it reads to me, and I might be corrected here, we need to raise 10.9 because it's a part of 10.2. So 10.10.
Well, we've raised the matter from the table. We can now go to 10.10 and we can discuss that matter. We can discuss that matter because it's now raised from the table, but we have to start from where we left off.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, because I was reading it, I saw strategically it was 10.9. Because if we didn't want.
So we've raised it from
and
the
if we didn't raise it from the table, then we would have. It ourselves.
If I can.
Sorry.
Yeah, if we've raised it from the table, so that's been endorsed. And so now we can go to 10.10 and discuss that matter. Okay, how do you wish to proceed? Yep. Are you comfortable with the changes and explanations? Because that was the key question why we laid it on the table. Do you wish to? There you go.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to move. I think there's been some wording changes throughout the policy, some neatening up. I understand the sentiment around the removing people going into confidence and stuff like that. I have a little bit of an agree to disagree moment because I didn't see a value add, but then that said, I didn't see a value loss either. So I didn't really, I don't see a reason to vote against with these particular matters, but I do thank staff for providing that answer through. And I guess a little learning curve of laying something on the table here as well. So I'm happy to support the policy change.
Thank you. Do I have a?
Sorry.
No, that was. Oh, yes, that's correct. Yes. So we did have a mover and a seconder. So you've spoken now, Deputy Mayor. Any other discussion of anyone who has not spoken in the debate? If don't need to speak, if you don't wish to, but okay. Councillor Hughes, you were the original mover of the motion. Are you happy for me to put the motion? Okay, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, grants update, information reports. We've got a noting report and we've got a 90-day operational achievements. How do you wish to proceed? Councillor Davies, hello.
Hello. I'm happy to move them in on block. And just to speak to, yeah, well, thanks for both the updates. I think they were both interesting.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hennessy, thank you. Do you wish to speak at all? Thank you. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, councillor Davies, you happy for me to put the motion? I will put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now. Okay, so now I am now on recommendations from committees, which is I'm on page 69 of the agenda. Recommendations from the Gawler Youth Advisory Committee. Motions made under delegated authority for noting. Sorry, didn't have my head up. Councillor Davies.
Yeah, just to, as it says in the motion, thank Abby Martin, our youth trainee, for her time at the youth space. I think it's been really beneficial.
Yeah, she had an absolutely fabulous time. I had a chat with her the other day and she's really excited about it. Yeah. And I think it's opening doors for her as well. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Solomon?
Happy to second that and share that sentiment. That traineeship was something which we worked on during my time on that committee. I was the chair of that working group, and I'm glad that it was, one, supported by council originally, and two, able to contribute so much to the youth space and to the education of a young person in the town of Gawler. And yeah, congratulate Abby as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, Councillor Davies, you happy for me to put the motion? I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. The next one is 12.1.2 Youth Sponsorship Program. You happy to move that way, Deputy Mayor? Yep. Do I have a second? Councillor Hughes? I'll just allow the minute taker to catch up. Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. We move now to, I'm over the page, Bicycle Month. This is a really interesting motion. You happy to move that way, councillor? And you happy, councillor Davies moved, seconded by councillor White. Do you wish to speak at all?
Yeah, just to thank our Gawler Young Citizen of the Year, Jack Gill, who's put a lot of work into these Bicycle Month projects over the years and this year as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, I am going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now we move on to recommendations from the Corporate and Community Services Committee. And I'm going to go, I'm going to pull out the housing affordability one. So you're going to move an alternative motion. So we'll pull that one 7.3 out. So on 7.1, Council provide an effective information campaign as detailed in the above mentioned report, reconciliation update. It might be worth actually saying an effective information campaign on the Voice to Parliament. So it's actually quite clear in the motion. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. It's just a minor variation, but it just explains what we're talking about. So we're going to pull 7.3 out because Councillor Lorna wants to move a separate motion, and I'll allow that. So it's 7.1, 7.2, 7.7, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and that's it. You're happy to move that way, Councillor Hennessy? Thank you. Do I have a second to Councillor Vallelonga? I'll just allow the minute taker to catch up. And seconded, councillor Valongo, thank you. Thank you. E. Thank you. Okay, so we've got a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, oh yes, sorry, councillor Sample.
Thanks, Mayor Karen. You spoke about the voice and everything to do with 7.1. What feedback has this council had from the Gawler community? You know, by way of our local paper, the Bunyip, or whatever, to do with support. Certainly, the local government association has indicated that. The government has indicated to support the voice, but by way of the people of our community, the 22,000 people, what feedback has this council received much feedback about supporting or not supporting the voice?
I think what this says in the above mentioned report, the report actually detailed that it would be a balanced campaign and there would be opportunities for both no and yes. So it would be actually a balanced campaign. It's not about supporting a yes vote. It's actually about giving information to our community in a balanced way. So, and that was detailed in the report, which was very well written, and it came through from our Reconciliation Action Group, which also is made up of community members as well. So they go out into the community. So I think that it probably doesn't quite answer your question. However, if you read the report, it was talking about a balanced, so it was about a no, but it was about giving people the information they might be able to use to make an informed decision. It's not about having a stand one way or the other. It's about having a balanced information program. And I think that that's probably a good thing for council to do so that people can make up their own minds. Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to reiterate on that point as well, I think it is quite comprehensive. 7.1 is quite comprehensive in the sense that it also provides information to staff about exactly what council is doing so that that can be communicated appropriately. So if someone were to ring up and say, what's council's position on the voice, there is actually that information there available to staff to say, oh, council doesn't have a yes or no position. Our role as a local government is to provide further information which the community are asking for about what a referendum is, how that's working, and what the vote is really about as well. And that's done in a really balanced way.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Councillor Sample. Any other discussion? If not, I'm going to put that motion. We've got a mover and a seconder. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. So, Councillor Lorna, would you like to present your motion now?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to 7.3 as I sent through. I believe everyone will receive the email sent through, and Mayor Karen, thank you for accepting that. And the government's team should have that motion put there. So
I can't see it. Oh. So
basically, I'm asking for a 0.2 to be added to 7.3, the housing affordability.
So you want that notes the housing affordabilities, you want that included? Yeah, I think you did.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll just allow the minute taker to put that in. So it notes the report on the housing affordability update, May 2023 report. May 2023 report. I think that was the wording. And you have the floor, Councillor Lorna.
Thank you for that. I can say, reading through the report that we received at the committee, probably wasn't fully understanding how the process is to work, and I didn't really appreciate what was actually getting said at the time. I was disappointed that the housing affordability, in particular the empty homes project with Shelter SA, was pivotal on the senior social planning position. I believe that the role, or what we're actually trying to achieve here, is bigger than one person. It's bigger than one position. The issue I would appreciate, and those without homes or are struggling to afford homes would really appreciate your council allocating the resources to ensure this project goes ahead and that it has the attention it needs. I'd really like to get everyone on board with this, because I think it's something that we need to do. It's not to leave to, I've got a bit of a hung up with the word opportunity, because I really think it's a need. It's not an opportunity. We need to actually be making this happen. So leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? You're happy to second Councillor Samble? I'll allow the minute taker to put your name in. Thank you. Councillor Koch, you've got your hand up.
Look, I appreciate the sentiment, obviously, but we did vote not to have a senior social community planner, and that was going to be one of their roles. So through you, Mayor, what is the capacity of the council to actually do something effectively in this space?
Okay, thank you for that question. Mr. Barrett.
So through the chair, existing staff are at capacity, which is why the report stated that without additional resourcing, we're unable to progress that initiative. So if council was to resolve this way, we'd have to look at what we're doing internally and what could be progressed maybe at a slower pace to enable some capacity in this. It could take longer than we were hoping. So we'd have to massage it within existing resources because we are at capacity.
Thank you. I think that addresses your question. Any other discussion? Councillor Solomon?
I think I'll just go to that point that was just raised, and I think that, you know, no one envies staff at the moment. It's very hard out there, and they do a huge amount of work, and certainly if that's not something which is able to be done, then I do appreciate that. Being said, though, I do sort of take issue with some of the phrasing in some of the recent information reports, as Councillor Lorna said, about the way that that was sort of brought up after the fact about the social and community planner and the economic development officer. And I think it was maybe not raised in the most appropriate way, but and I think that could have been better reflected earlier on. But in saying that, I understand the constraints that are currently on staff, and I don't think this motion has any real material impact on that, on moving forward with any of these projects. So I support the sentiment of it.
Any further comments, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I think the point two and the answer to the subsequent question sort of outlines the position. Councillor Lorna, if you'll remember, asked the question directly through the chair to the CEO at the time, and the CEO did make a point that says, yeah, no, look, we want to keep working in the space and we'll do it the best we can with the available resources we have. This just cements that sentiment that the CEO put forward. And make sure that we're clear, we're not just sidelining a project because a position wasn't accepted this year in social planner, which again is one of those new initiatives that were put forward this budget cycle, if members remember. However, the empty homes project isn't a new initiative. So looking at how we can together make something happen in this space. I think the report outlined really well on the collaborative approach of it's not all just on council, and there's a lot of people working in this space. So, you know, this isn't just this is going to happen because we're going to make it happen. This is, hey, how can we help make it happen? So I think this captures the sentiment well. And leaves that door, well, I think the door was already open, but it just clarifies the point that Councillor Lorna made at the CCS, but does it quite clearly. So I'm happy to support this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, councillor Lorna, you want to wrap up the debate?
Yes, thank you, everybody, and yeah, Shanks, pretty much for summarising everything that notes that I've had, so cheers for that. Really just want to think that we need to make it very clear, as councillor Shanks and the others have actually said, this was pretty much what was stated at the CCS. And I just want to make sure it's on record that we don't use it as, excuse my terms, as a cop out to push it out and let it go forwards. So I appreciate your support on this. Thank you.
I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against, it is carried. Thank you. So we'll move to community grants. I'm on page 72 now. Community grants, we do have a recommendation. You happy to move that way? Councillor Davies, you happy to second Councillor White? I'll just, so we've got Councillor Davies, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, just to say that, you know, it's great that we have so many local community groups in our town that, you know, can benefit from this funding. A new round of grants should be coming out relatively soon because this was a delayed round. So, you know, the baseball club who are still here watching, something to consider. We have our $1,000 community grants, and there's some similar, the Williston Netball Club, for example, has club coaching accreditation training in here. So there are things that sporting groups as well can be doing. So yeah, happy to support this.
Any further discussion? If not, Councillor Davies, I'm going to, you happy for me to put that motion? I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimous. And Audit and Risk Committee. So we have notes the adopted motions 12.3. How are we going? Oh, thank you, Councillor Davies. We'll move that these adopted motions. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hughes, thank you. Moved by Councillor Davies and seconded by Councillor Hughes. If there's no further discussion, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. And moved by Councillor Davies and Councillor. Was it Councillor Hughes or was it Councillor Vallelonga? Councillor Hughes moved it. Who seconded it? Councillor Davies moved it. Councillor Hughes seconded. Thank you. Okay, so we move to 12.3.1. External auditor management letter. Really straightforward. You happy to move that way, Councillor Davies? Councillor Koch is seconding. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Third budget review we've done. 12.3.3 procurement strategy and policy update. Thank you very much, Councillor Davies. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Hughes. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Policy review. Got a few policies here. You happy to move that way, Councillor Davies? Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder, Councillor Hughes? I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against? It is carried. Review of the long-term financial plan. You happy to move that way, Councillor Davies? Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder, Councillor Hughes? I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Can you please do that again? Sorry. All those in favour, carried unanimously. Risk management update. Thank you, councillor Davies. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hughes. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. So we move now we move, that completes the Audit and Risk Committee. Now we move to external bodies reports, minutes from the external bodies, notes the minutes. Thank you, councillor Hennessy, and seconded by councillor Hughes. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? It is carried. Over the page, we have questions on notice. Sorry, Henry, are you able to give them out? Thank you. These will be included in the minutes. I'll allow people to read that. You finding it amusing? Okay, we probably won't be debating that, but thank you for the question, councillor White. Okay. Are there any questions without notice, councillor Davies?
Yeah, I sent mine in a few days ago. It was the one about renovate, what support's on offer for renovation for along Murray Street.
Who's going to answer that question, Andrew?
Through the chair. The answer to that question is that we provide grants up to the value of $3,000, and I've got an application form in my hot little hand. So if you want one, come and see me.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Provided by Andrew Goodsell, Mr. Andrew Goodsell. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions without notice? No. Thank you, everyone. So now we move on to councillor Hughes. You're first cab off the rank, so you would like to present your motion?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I think we did actually discuss this on the night, and I was probably the first one to get it in. But this just covers off on the fact that the CCTV upgrades were below the line, and just this looks at ways that we can support staff in our community and look at alternatives, or we may even come back to CCTV, but I think it's really important that we do these investigations and get a future report. So yeah, like support.
Are you happy to second that, councillor Solomon? Do you wish to speak at all?
Yeah, happy to second that, and I think it perfectly captures the sentiment on the night. I think it really reiterates that staff safety is a really important thing. And that without those CCTV cameras, we're, really looking at, we're looking at all of the options that are available to make sure the staff are safe when they're working.
Thank you very much. Any, councillor White?
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, I'm be supporting this motion too. I was just wondering through you, Mayor, whether there's a possibility with the mover and seconders permission, we could amend this to actually also include the Conley Dog Park. My reasoning behind that is we've had the response here formally, but we also had an email circulated a couple of weeks ago too. And I think there has been incidents, more so for members of our community, of antisocial behaviour at the dog park. And I think while if this motion is passed, while council are conducting investigations and providing a report in regards to the community centre and the aquatic centre, if while we're there, we could potentially look at other options for the dog park as well. Seeing as council are concerned about community safety at the dog park as well. So thought I'd just throw that out there and see what thoughts are.
The motion is very specific around the budget bid and also moving below the line. Now, mover, I suspect that might be a separate motion that you might want to work through. I think that's a valid, that would be a valid motion on its own. Councillor Hughes, you're the mover.
Yeah, it's sort of covered under number one because we're talking about antisocial behaviour at councils,
Community
facilities.
Do you want? Are you happy to include it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The other one.
So what we could do, if I may, community facilities, open bracket, including the dog park at Clonley Park. Yeah. Including but not exclusive to the dog park, or if you've got better wording.
It's more to keep it open, but staff may have other areas that they're concerned that's a risk to council, community and people too. So to try and keep it open.
Councillor Solomon, are you comfortable with that? Thank you very much. So community, but not limited to Clonley Dog Park. Are you comfortable with that wording? We've just added Clonley Dog Park after community centre. Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with that, Councillor Solomon? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. So I think that sorts that out. Yes, you certainly know.
Thank you, Mayor. No, thank you, Councillor Hughes, for this motion. I think, as we've all heard, over a number of sessions and information by the administration, that there has been incidents of antisocial behaviour at community locations, particularly these 2 and 3 locations. So I think by looking at other ways, not just limited to CCTV cameras, of looking at how we can, as a council, deal with the antisocial behaviour is very, very important. While also, I guess, keeping in mind that we don't want to completely deter community members and visitors from using our facilities. There's nothing worse than rocking up to what's supposed to be a fun community place or a dog park and seeing massive signs saying, report antisocial behaviour to this number. It's, quite off-putting. So I think there are many ways, many innovative ways we can look at how we approach this, because as usual, it's only a small percentage that mess it up for everyone else. But I think that it is important that not only we look at these 3 specified locations, but if staff do have other concerns for other council facilities, that of course the safety of our staff is one of our top priorities. So that's really, really important, as well as our community members, of course. So very happy to support this motion.
Any other discussion? Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to support this. I think we had some good discussion during the budget process, and I think we arrived at, look, cameras don't equal guaranteed safety protection. They definitely provide a opportunity to provide evidence to the police should an incident recur to that level, but as we can see, the cornflakes that have just gone missing off our bins had CCTV, even had the person who's selling them and everything, and police. Look, we've come to the end of our investigation when there's not much more we can do about it. I know that's a minor incident, but it's an example of CCTV in an area and nothing coming of it. Plus the price tag on these things. I mean, you know, if I could hand on heart say that this would be staff safety to the max, would be all good, then absolutely throw whatever money we have to at it, especially community safety as well. But $90,000 price tag on some cameras for the aquatic centre was just a bit of a hard pill to swallow, given some of the experience in the room around antisocial behaviour and stuff. So yeah, I think I just wanted to make that point, and I'm happy to support this motion moving forward, because I think, yeah, again, it leaves that door open to investigating some potential options moving forward.
Councillor Sample.
Thank you, Mayor Karen, and I'm so good that they've both been put together for sure. But, you know, I'm starting to feel a little bit like a mushroom. I really am. Our playgrounds we build for the children and people burn them down. You try to find out who it is that burned them down. We're not allowed to know. Councillor White has got all these things that happened. What happened? Did anybody get caught? You know, I mean, nowadays, if you do something wrong, surely to goodness, we as councillors that are making this decision to spend a big heap of money on more security cameras now. Oh, wow, those cameras in the main street are so fantastic. You can see everybody walks down the street. Is the same thing going to happen with the aquatic centre and with all of these, and with Councillor White says with the dog park? Because the dog park has been quite a funny story. We don't know who uses the dog park. We don't know what the rules are. We don't know whether it's Gawler people that are being the offenders or whatever it may be. I think it's about time we were told, with all these things, especially what Councillor White has pointed out here, we need to know who are these people, and do the police act on it, or do we just sit back and give away another $9,000, $10,000, $15,000 and so forth for a camera? Who's going to look at it? Who's going to get punished? We don't know that. But we're just giving away money all the time to put cameras up. The camera people are making a nice lot of money out of putting them up. I just think we've got to have a better hold on this whole thing to stop this sort of thing. It's happening all over Australia. We don't want it to happen in Gawler. So how about we look at some other measure instead of just throwing money at a camera?
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, Councillor Hughes, are you happy to wrap up the debate?
Yeah, just briefly, this motion is to look at other alternatives other than cameras for Councillor Sample. Yeah, there is a lot of opportunities there, and I think it's pretty straightforward that we do these investigations.
I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now, Councillor Hennessy, we'll deal with your motion and then we're going to have a break. So you have the floor, Councillor Hennessy.
Thank you. I think hopefully elected members, this is fairly straightforward. We haven't finished this budget cycle, but I think we all agree that we had an awful lot of information presented to us well, but I feel that a debrief session, which happens in many different arenas, would be useful for us to discuss what was presented to us, how we were able to absorb it, what we might need for a future budget process. So I seek your support in this idea. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Sample. Any other discussion, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, look, I'm happy to support this. When you're working within quality systems and making sure that your systems are working well, this is all part of that debrief is what worked well and what can we improve on next time. I've really enjoyed, sorry, I use enjoyed begrudgingly, but I've really enjoyed the budget process this time. Because there has been a lot of robust debate. There has been a lot of commitment in time to reading agendas, putting views forward, talking to staff, and I think there's some lessons learnt as well. that we can keep on working on. I thank staff for the information they put forward. Yeah, I mean, it's a big item, so it's not easy to translate from local government accounting to, in lack of a better term, normal speak. So I get the task at hand. And I think working collaboratively in these sorts of debrief sessions will only build on that for next year and moving forward. So I'm happy to support this.
Any other discussion? If not, councillor Hennessy, you happy for me to put the motion? Thank you. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. So I'm going to have a break now because I think we just need to have a bit of a stretch. And at 8:58, we'll have a break and we'll come back at 9:10. Thank you. Yeah.
I think Dylan is too. so-
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let's get started, everyone. Thank you. So we'll get everyone sitting down. I think you guys are going to go. Thanks for coming. You spoke really well. I think it just gets a bit late. Gets a bit late. So I'm on page 81. We've completed page 80. So 81, Deputy Mayor, you have the floor. There we go.
I think this is just a procedural motion and we're not to talk to the answers. Is that correct?
Without
just-
notice from the 28th, it's not really procedural, but that the responses to the questions without notice from the 28th third be tabled to be included in the minutes of this meeting. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, I think that was the motion that I couldn't
Yeah.
really debate about it per se, could I?
You can. Yeah, it's a motion on its own right.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. Can I-
Well, you
Yeah.
can, yeah, it's a motion
Okay.
in its own right. So if you want to say a few words, you can.
Oh, look, I mean, I'd just like to, I guess, really cement in my preamble here. I mean, elected members get requests for information from time to time, or actually more regularly these days, but as they come through, I think it's important to be able to ask the questions, use the process to ask the questions, but also table the answers and have them there available for not only public record, but also for the question askers. So hopefully I can just get some support on this one. And I also note the process that we'll be talking about in the future training session as well, about how that we'll probably do away with the need to move motions like this in the future. But we'll unpack that when we get to it. So hopefully I can get some support with this one.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ballalonga, thank you. Any discussion? If there's not any discussion, I'm going to put that motion, if that's okay, Nathan. Yep, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I've just realised that we're up to now 4 information briefing sessions, 3 of which are my fault. So clear the diaries, members. We've got some information briefings to attend if this one's successful. But this particular item is just about educating ourselves on a matter that's currently being dealt with. I think it's fair and reasonable to ensure that we're brought up to speed with this matter. I foresee this not going too well, but I can't really comment too much because I don't know enough. So this is just about, again, allowing staff to bring up the elected body to speed on this particular matter, and where to from there, we'll have to see.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lorna, thank you. Councillor Koch, yes, you had your hand up.
Can I just ask, is this a planning issue? Is that okay?
It is. It is a planning issue.
What have councillors got to do with planning issues? We shouldn't be influencing planning decisions.
This is a confidential information session, so it won't be making a decision on anything.
Why do we need to know about it?
Well, this is a valid motion. It's a valid motion, so we're testing the waters here. Yeah, it's a valid motion. Yep. Okay. Any other discussion? Councillor Koch.
Look, I won't be voting for this. If this is a planning issue, it should be left up to the planning staff. This sounds like to me that we're trying to influence something here. I'm very concerned if councillors think they're going to try to influence a planning decision, which should be at arm's length to councillors. So I'll be voting against it. Very tricky waters.
Okay, Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not fully aware of what this issue is necessarily about, though I have heard some limited information about, so I'm happy to stand corrected if I'm wrong in any way, but there may be some legal aspects to this issue as well, which we have been as a council caught before with not the councillor elected members not fully understanding a legal issue. And so for that reason, I'll be supporting the motion, knowing that I don't know the full breadth of the information about it and wanting to get that information in the briefing session. So
just so we're clear, this is a confidential briefing note be provided to council members on the Town of Gawler versus Brunt cases, a minimum of 5 days prior to a confidential information session. That is an informal gathering. We do not make any decision. It is about providing information. We need to be careful. Councillor Koch is right. We need to be careful that we separate ourselves from planning matters and we don't interfere with those. That's quite important. But this is a valid motion, confidential information session. It is not a special council meeting. I'd be very concerned if it was a special council meeting, because then we could potentially be crossing the line into potentially illegal matters. So that's not what this is.
Yeah, I agree with all that, and I hope that was reflected in what I said. I think I referred to it as a briefing. Not a
I
special
wasn't,
council
I
meeting, but-
wasn't
Oh, yeah,
picking
good.
you up.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
just
cool, yeah.
making a comment.
I know, always. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Councillor Hughes?
Yeah, I was just wondering whether our council staff can actually give us a quick brief on this within the confidential grounds. I mean, I believe as I've read emails on this matter that have been sent to us as councillors, I think through previous questions from Councillor Shanks, but it is a matter that's maybe whether we can.
What
get
I
some
might
stuff.
do is ask a general question about planning matters and the delegated authority that you have as an authority. Andrew.
Through the chair. So it's correct to say that David Bilitovich is our assessment manager. He has delegations vested in him by council and myself. I'm through the chair, the CEO. He has determined an application which has been challenged in ERD on procedural grounds in terms of deemed consent and a range of other matters, but that's not a matter for today.
No.
But basically he has delegation to make that decision and also clearly delegation to defend that decision, which is what he's doing.
Okay, thank you. So that will come out in the information session. So any other discussion? If not, Deputy Mayor, you want to close the debate?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, firstly, I think the questions being asked and the appetite here clearly identifies that we should have this information briefing session. And I'd like to just confirm that we do not make decisions at an information briefing session. We actually just be informed. And the item that I think we need to be informed on is what is in the motion. There is nothing lost to be more educated. So I hope I can get some support on this because we need to understand what's happening. And if it's not just this particular case, but the process alone, there's going to be some takeaways here that us as an elected body will learn and be educated in. And I don't understand how you would boycott the opportunity for some education. So hopefully I can get some support on this and we can unpack this in the confidential session moving forward.
Thank you. The debate is closed. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against, it is carried. Deputy Mayor has called a division. All those in favour, please stand. And I shall call your names out. Councillor Lorna, Councillor White, Councillor Davies, Councillor Vallelonga, Deputy Mayor Shanks, Councillor Solomon, Councillor Hennessy, Councillor Samble. All those against are Councillor Kosh and Councillor Hughes. The motion is carried. Thank you. Yeah, so now Deputy Mayor Shanks.
Thank you.
Before we go any further, I need to, you need to declare a conflict. Sorry, Councillor White.
No, that's okay, Mayor. Thank you. Yes, I'll just be declaring a material conflict of interest because I do provide paid services to the Gawler Business Development Group. And as this motion will be discussing the group, I think it's best for me to leave the room. So that's how I'll be dealing with the material conflict.
Thank you. We'll just itemise that. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor White. Material conflict. Yeah, and dealt with the matter by leaving the room. Yeah. Yeah, has to leave the room. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Deputy Mayor Shanks. Oh, you've got one as well. Sorry, Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Mayor. Just declaring a general conflict of interest, given that I'm a member of the board of the Gawler Business Development Group by virtue of appointment by this council, and I'll deal with that in an open and transparent way by remaining in the chamber, participating in debate and voting in the best interest of the community. And
Thank you
I'll
very
pass this
much.
form.
Thank you very much for explaining that in detail, which is really quite helpful because when you say it yourself, it actually then is much more powerful. It is minuted, but when you actually say it, I think that it is a really good thing to do. And we are required to do that. So thank you, Councillor Solomon. Okay, so we've got that. Councillor Deputy Mayor, you've got the floor now. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, look, councillors, I think we discussed it well at the CCS. I do notice the vote changing from what the CCS committee recommended to council in regards to the Business Innovation Hub. I'm eager to hear the debate tonight to see where the mindset is on this. I mean, this is merely me trying to offer up a potential option. This may not be the solution, who knows? But after conversations with the Business Development Group over the time of the Business Innovation Hub, I'm not minding what's being discussed in an informal manner, and just, I guess, having the opportunity to listen to a potential model. I don't think there's anything to lose. Tonight we saw Councillor Lorna move a motion to talk about the homelessness and the empty housing project, and we also heard staff saying they're under-resourced and we can't achieve that. We also had the same sentiment about the management of the Business Innovation Hub, that we needed an economic development manager to be able to come in to offer the programs that were sold to the chamber at the time when this redevelopment was going through. All I'm hearing is we're under-resourced, but we want to keep these things in the remit. I see an opportunity here to handball to a model that potentially could work with a business network that speaks private enterprise language. It's as simple as that. I don't think we should be in this particular space because I think we're flirting with competing with other landlords in the town and using their rates to do it. So I personally would like to unpack what the Gawler Business Development Group has to offer in an information briefing and talk things through. Once again, I'm not saying this is the solution, but in lack of any others that are on the table right now, I'm putting this one forward. So hopefully I can get some support with this one, members. And yeah, I've just potentially, if this one gets up, add another information briefing to the calendar.
So that's been seconded by Councillor Samble. So it's moved by Deputy Mayor Shanks and it's seconded by Councillor Samble. So any discussion? Councillor Koch, I saw your hand up.
Look, I've got a couple of questions because
Yes.
Everything on council goes around in circles, cycles, and the development board actually did put up a proposal, I think back in 22, I think. So can I just get a brief, can somebody just give us an outline of what they offered back then?
Oh, right. Mr. Barrett, I think there was a cost to that, wasn't there? There you go.
So through the chair, yes, the Gawler Business Development Group did present a model option to council in June 2022, which requested the offer from them, was that the Gawler Business Development Group would retain all of the membership fees for the hub. And they would also ask council to fund a management fee annually for $50,000 payable to the group. Council also to fund costs to develop the social media platform for the hub, all payments for the internet, all payments for printing hardware and other office consumables used by hub members, and all insurance costs for the hub. So
how much is that in total?
In total, I don't know the cost to develop the social media platform for the hub because we didn't go into what that actually meant.
Yes.
In terms of payments for Gig City Internet and printing hardware, etc., it's around about 10,000 a year. And insurance costs was another thing. We didn't go down that path. We'd need to understand from an insurance broker what those insurance costs would be. When you're talking about revenue for hub membership, we are sitting through that budget report we council saw tonight with a Q3 review. We're sitting at around about $45,000 income from the hub. So when you pass that through, the Gawler Business Development offer at the time would have netted around about $100,000 to that organisation. It's not to say that that's the model that they'll be presenting through this workshop, but that was what that was presented in June 22.
That was the question. Thank you for answering that. Yes, yes, certainly.
The other question was, we didn't fund the business development officer. But if we did, what percentage of their time would be used to manage the hub?
Mr. Barrett.
So through the chair, we'd expect the hub programming management from an economic development also to be around about half a day a week in terms of their time to deliver those programs, etc. Obviously, there'd be peaks and troughs. Some weeks they wouldn't do anything on that. They'd spend a couple of days another week, but on average, half a day a week for that kind of work.
Thank you. Another question?
Just to finalise that one, what would the figure be for that half a day?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, if they're getting 120.
Would you need to take that on notice, Mr. Barrett?
Divide it by 5 and divide it by 2.
So through the chair, approximately 12,000 a year.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Solomon, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just picking up on that point, I note Henry and I were in the liaison meeting with the Gawler Business Development Group yesterday, where it was discussed. And I know there was another event that conflicted at the time, so not everyone was able to make it, but it was discussed that there would be a new proposal and the Gawler Business Development Group would have to go away and look at a completely new proposal for that space. The previous one that was presented would be almost completely different, given in a very different set of economic circumstances from that time. And you know, they can speak to that there. I think giving them the opportunity to speak to that is of benefit, and I certainly understand that this has been something which has been going on for a long time, and it does and it is something which I think we need to investigate new avenues for. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Councillor Hennessy, you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'll also be supporting for this. I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I've been around for a lot of different reiterations of business support, economic development in this council. At the CCS, we talked about putting the hub into a holding pattern, I think was the terminology that came up in the debate. If we're doing that, I can see no problem. In fact, I look forward to seeing what the Business Development Group, a group that we have said formally is working well with council and with the RDA. I'd like to see what their updated submission is and see if that gives us some way forward in working with them to support our businesses in the town. So I will support this.
Councillor Hughes.
I'm just wondering, as Councillor Hennessy mentioned, the RDA, whether we could actually have the Gawler Business Development Group and the RDA actually at the information session together, maybe.
That's not a bad idea.
Whether that could be added to the motion.
Deputy Mayor and Mr. Councillor Samble, Deputy Mayor.
Look, I actually don't mind the idea. However, I haven't spoken to the RDA about this particular matter, and I do note that the Gawler Business Development Group was the one to put forward a model previously. So, look, I don't see a problem with adding RDA.
You could do it, but it could be a point too that I'm just suggesting that the Regional Development Australia, Barossa, Gawler, Light and Adelaide Plains, I think is that right? Have I got that right? Be approached as an option to
Invite them.
So you could extend an invitation to the RDA Barossa, regional to Barossa, I think it's Gawler Light and Gawler Light and Adelaide Plains, be extended an invitation to be, so you're only extending an invitation, and that would cover off on the fact that they can make a choice.
Yep. Yeah, look, I'm happy with that. I mean, obviously, we've got a board member in our CEO as well, so the
Yeah,
RDA
that's
will
right.
have
Be extended
representation.
an invitation to attend the information session. What do you think about that?
Yeah, look, I'm happy to accept that.
Yeah, I think you probably get more people sort of supporting it that way. Yeah, okay. Councillor Sample, are you happy with that word? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the wordsmithing. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for that. Any other discussion? If not, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just quickly. So the previous model that we did sort of see was declared as an unsolicited tender and wasn't actually, I don't believe, put forward as an option at the time. I absolutely understand that there are some items here that need to be unpacked 100%, but the connection to business or that business hub with our Gawler Business Development Group is a great place to start. And once again, members, this is an information briefing session where we can have those conversations formally. We're not agreeing to any costs whatsoever for a model and the model that may be presented, it may be completely different from what was presented previously. However, again, we've got nothing to lose by hearing it out. So I hope I can get some support with this one because yeah, I think we need to move in this space. I just don't necessarily think that local government needs to be the front runner on it. I know we've had a bad experience with a private operator in the past. I completely acknowledge that, but lessons learned. And I see our resources needed elsewhere.
The debate is closed. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against, it is carried. Carried. Okay. So Councillor White can come back here. Thank you. So thank you, Councillor White. So that concludes motions on notice. Thank you, everyone. Motions without notice. Thank you. Council member attendances and activities, and I'll start. So I went to the funeral of Mr. Gil Harnett on the 16th of May. Mr. Harnett was mayor from 1978 till 1989. He was an elder statesman. He was highly regarded in the town, and he was part of the very successful Harnett and George business partnership, which has been in Gawler for many, many, many years. So I think that it is appropriate to acknowledge Mr. Harnett as at his sad passing. I think it is appropriate, given that he was on council. He was also an elected member for the Evanston ward prior to him becoming mayor. He was deputy mayor at one point. And so, yes, he loved Gawler. He's still on YouTube. You can still see him on YouTube with, I think it's in 2000. It was earlier in the 80s, I think. And it's a really interesting little clip if you choose to Google it. But yes, I had a lot of time for Mr. Harnett, and the church was packed with people. Many people came from interstate, and yes, it was he's a highly regarded person in our community. So I thought I'd just acknowledge Mr. Harnett. at his sad passing. Yeah. We had a citizenship ceremony. We also had the opening of down the line communications exhibition opening on the 10th of May. I went on a rivers walk in Saturday the 13th of May, and then went on a St. George's Cemetery walk, which was really well attended. And interestingly, the Rivers Walk has many trees with hollows and many birds, many different kinds of birds nesting in those right along our Rivers Walk. You can easily see them. And I wished I'd taken my camera to actually take some decent shots. So yeah, that was absolutely fabulous. I went along to an African Girls Talk at Salisbury High at the invitation of Councillor Hennessy, and that was really fabulous. I think the young women there at it was actually Salisbury East High, and it was they were really interested in what we were talking about. Di Fraser came along, and it was really quite an interesting session. We had a volunteer week morning tea, and that was really well attended by all our volunteers. It was really quite exceptionally attended, and it's always good to acknowledge our volunteers. We've just gone through volunteer week, and I think that they come along, they enjoy the lunch that they have, and I think it's an appropriate use of money to support our volunteers, because they save well over $300,000 for this council over a course of a year, and I think that it is appropriate. We had a citizenship ceremony on the 11th of May, and we also had our developer and business leaders forum, and I know many of our councillors came along to that. It was very well attended, and we got lots of good feedback, and hopefully some new ideas coming out of that. So our citizenship ceremony was also really well attended. We had a number of dignitaries come along to that. So that was fantastic, and a number of councillors came along to that as well. So that's my contribution to yes. So yes. Anything else, Councillor Davies?
Yeah, look, I went along to a few things. It's been a good history month for local events. I'll just mention in particular, like last night, I was the representative at the Gawler and District School Board meeting, and I talked about the tertiary hub that we've started up here, and there was interest expressed in maybe could year 12s come along and that kind of thing, and so I think there might be some further interest from local schools in use of our civic centre, so I'd be interested in exploring that further.
Thank you. Anything else, Councillor Solomon? You've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of quick ones to raise also into the business developer forum, but the Edith Street session was particularly good. And so thank you to Wendy and the whole team there, because they did an absolutely fabulous job. The feedback from that was amazing. The citizenship ceremony was excellent. It was the first one I've been to, and it's such a happy occasion for everyone involved, and so I'll be going to plenty more. The other thing I did was I attended the Mother's Day Classic Run in Clonley. That was raising awareness for breast cancer, and that was also a very good event there. So that's it for me.
Yes, Councillor Hennessy.
Yes, I attend a lot of those too, but I won't repeat. I would like to reinforce something that Councillor Davies said. I was been talking to a number of tertiary students who also were unaware, but now are very interested in the tertiary hub in the Civic Centre. I guess that reinforces to me that it's our role as elected members to keep using our personal as well as our elected member networks to sell the services that we are providing. Not everybody reads the Town of Gawler socials, so it's useful to keep pushing that information. I foresee that the tertiary hub is going to have a bit of a spike soon.
Yes, it's quite successful already. Anything else? Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, so tertiary hub, Mother's Day Classic, citizen, yep. Thank you, everyone. That's in there. So that concludes council member attendances and activities, and we'll move on to confidential reports. So I'd just like to acknowledge Mr. Bruce Henderson, who passed away recently, and he has been quite instrumental in these projects. And I think it is important to acknowledge the high regard that Bruce Henderson is held and has been held. And I think condolences to his family and colleagues, and also the colleagues here at the Town of Gawler, because I think he really made a big impact, and yeah, he will be a very sad loss to many, many local government areas, because he was held in such high regard. So I thought that would be appropriate to mention that. Okay. So we have a confidential report. We have an officer's recommendation. It is important that we explain why we're going into confidence if we do. I think we should do that. That's right and proper. So there is an officer's recommendation to move into confidence. Councillor Hennessy.
Yes, Mayor, I'm happy to support the reason to move into confidentiality, because we're going to be dealing with some commercial information of a confidential nature, the disclosure of which could reasonably be expected to prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied the information to us or confer a commercial advantage to a third party. It includes the tenders for the supplies of goods and the provision of services or the carrying out of the works.
Thank you very much for that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Davies, thank you very much. If there's no further discussion, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. So now I go to my pink